Well, good evening, my fine YouTubers. I apologise if I'm sitting side on to the camera, but I'm doing this quick little video to demonstrate my new Rode NT1 with AI interface, and it's got a nice little shock mount. I've also added something which is negligible to the mix. I have put a Chaotica eyeball on top of this little shock mount. Now, the difference, as I said, it makes is negligible, but it can certainly help with a bit of the more. Just give a little bit more protection against certain sounds. Although truly, if I want to make it completely dead, I can't obviously build my little homemade booth that I was going to design because of the COVID-19 stuff, and it's a bit hard to justify going out and getting a whole bunch of materials and PVC piping and all those things, and I'll get to that in another video. But just my few thoughts on the Rode Rode NT1. I love it. Yes, I know it sounds simplistic, and you mean why? I was using a Rode NT USB for a very long time, and that was a good workhorse. It helped me out a lot, but the problem I found with many USB devices was that the sound that they would bring to the table, there'd always be a sort of a light rumble. These ones, the AI1, and I'm sure if there's a sound engineer listening to this, and because it's through YouTube, no doubt it's probably muddled it somewhat. And I have no doubt there'll be someone saying, well, there's still a tiny bit of sound coming through. There's a couple of hard drives. I have turned them off, but they're still clicking away. God knows why. So where my hands are, there's a nice little shock mount on the front of this. It's a beautiful little shock mount. I can hit that mic, and I don't actually know what that sounds like coming through. I don't have a really decent pair of monitoring headphones yet. I have a pair of, and I'll show you what I'm dealing with on the headphone front. These are the crappy headphones that I'm dealing with. They're not good for monitoring. You need something a bit more substantive. Something that really covers the ears. Earbuds can be good if you want to hear from the point of view of someone who might be just listening. At the end of the day, I'm speaking to it side on, so I apologise. Now, a couple of things. The headphone input, a standard 3mm jack will not fit. You will need, if I can get him out, you will need an extender. One of the big fat ones. I can't remember the actual size of these jacks, but you'll need an extender, and you chuck it in to this little hole. Chuck it in until it clicks in nicely. You chuck on these crappy headphones, which for daily use are pretty good. Chuck them in. And make sure they click. And now I am basically monitoring what is coming out. Obviously the one problem with this setup is still the old problem of echo, and as I said, I'll have to deal with that once this whole nonsense settles down. But in terms of monitoring, I can't ask for better. There's two knobs. Still haven't worked out which one's which. Two of them you can actually press in like buttons. One of them is definitely for phantom power, which you absolutely need with this thing. The second one is for your monitor gain, and there's obviously the other one deals with. So if I hit that shock mount, now obviously I'm hitting the eyeball, so you're getting that through the headphones. But if I knock that shock mount, whilst it's still present and it still makes a sound, and it's not ideal to do it during a professional recording, the shock mount really does take a lot of the nastiness out of when you, say, bump a standard open microphone. I love the construction. The cable, and I'll pull it up a bit so you can all have a look. Forgive me, I am not good at sighted videos. You see, people who are blind as bats probably shouldn't make videos where you're trying to showcase to a sighted person what something looks like, because no doubt we're going to miss a couple of things. This is the cable. Now this cable is enormous. This is the standard cable. So I actually bunched mine together with the Velcro that came with it. I bunched it all together so that, so that I don't have this massive long cable coming down. So I have no doubt that once I get the room sorted out and once I get the can't afford any fancy treatment, and I've got to tell you, I have to say this, some of the panel prices they charge for those like Prime Acoustic panels, Prime Acoustic are very, very good, but quite expensive and kind of out of my budget just at the moment. But my little booth idea will no doubt assist me a little bit. Obviously I'm transitioning and upgrading the equipment, which is good. For now, I'm just sticking a big thick doona over my head, which is very boiling fucking hot, ladies and gentlemen. Fucking hot, if you're thinking about doing it. But it does do the job. The thing with the eyeball, you do have to speak close. So you do have to be careful with this pop shield. And even with the hard pop shield that you do get with this microphone, you can get some pop. So you do have to be careful. And when you're editing, you kind of do have to watch it. But overall, I love the sound. It has a very low noise floor compared to the Rode NT USB, obviously because it's going through this little interface, which I can't really pull towards you to show you, but I'm sure there are plenty of videos on the interface. So, so far, even though I've only really played with this since last night when I couldn't sleep and set it all up at about 11:30 at night, I would give this a very, very high mark. I got this from a store called Store DJ in Melbourne, who are very good. Australia wide, and you're probably going, oh god, a store plug, but no, they're very good, very honest. New microphone stand too. Had to do a little trick with this stand. Had to put one of the legs at the front because if you don't have a leg at the front, particularly with the shock mount, with the microphone, it can make the stand fall over. See, even now, if I put it on the non-leg side, it will fall over. Oh. I thought Phoenix wanted to go out. No, you're just moving to a new position. But very nice microphone. Would highly recommend it, actually, to anyone who just wants a really good sound. I'm not a singer, so I wouldn't know, but I imagine it'd be pretty good for vocals. Definitely highly regarded in the voiceover community, along with Neumanns and a bunch of other ones. But highly recommend it. That's all I'm going to say on this. This has been a terrible review. I'm sorry for wasting your time. But I hope you have gleaned something out of this rambling nonsense and that you think, it's not too bad. It's not bad. So thank you for listening.